JavaScript allows us to build dynamic behaviors into web pages. These dynamic behaviors allow us to change page elements, interact with the user, interact with servers through forms and Ajax, and provide an all-around dynamic experience to people visiting websites. We begin talking with some JavaScript basics, namely how to create variables, use constant values and literal values, and how to display these values on a web page. First, it's pretty easy for us to use JavaScript to interact with HTML elements. We can do that by using the document object, and we can use getElementById to find an HTML element we want to interact with by its ID. You'll notice on this page, I have a div tag with an ID of script underscore output. I can pass script output as an argument to getElementById, and you'll see this is a string literal. We'll talk about that later. And I can interact with it, for instance, by writing the inner HTML or writing to the HTML of that object. We're simply going to write hello world, save it. We'll go back to my website, refresh it, and you'll see hello world is written to the script output frame set. Now, field set. Now in my code, you'll notice from lines 9 through 12, the field set div script output's actually empty. I don't have hello world in it. We're writing hello world after the fact to this HTML element. Now, a lot of this stuff I'm sure you didn't understand. I did it very fast. I talked about the document object. I talked about getElementById, string literals, inner HTML. The point of this was to just show you JavaScript runs after the fact to act dynamically on markup. So it is programmatic script that allows you to add a dynamic dimension to web pages. Now, you saw here, and you can copy and paste this code. This is just an easy way to write output to an HTML element using getElementById and inner HTML. We can also interact, for instance, by popping up messages to users. I'm going to create a button in HTML, show pop-up, and we can use functions, which we'll talk about in a later video. Functions are essentially named blocks of code that we can reuse. And we can use functions to handle what are called events in HTML. So button has an event called onClick, which lets us run some JavaScript every time it's clicked. So we'll go ahead and save this. We'll refresh the page. We have show pop-up here, and you'll see this page says hello. So we have a script here that allows us to interact with events on the web page. So again, just demonstrating how JavaScript is a dynamic language that can not only interact with page elements, but also react to user interactions on a web page.